Ladies and gentlemen, while we have a minute, I would like to introduce our judge for the day, Kevin Mock from Comfort, Texas. Went to Tarleton State University with a bachelor's in ag education. He was raised on a small farm in Kyle, Texas, where his family raised show pigs and show goats. He's the chief operating officer of M5 Utilities, a large underground construction company in Bourne, Texas. His family also owns and operates Mock Livestock, a competitive show goat and production and marketing business. We also co-own and manage MB Genetics, a 50-sow show pig operation in Borsted. The camaraderie and relationships he's had the opportunity to make over the past 20 years. He also loves the real life competition. Showing livestock is the ultimate competitive event because it encompasses all the human emotions and prepares kids to deal with the emotions of both victory and defeat later in life. He would also like to thank his family, Megan, Blaze, Braxton, and Brett, for always supporting him. Most of all, I want to thank my Savior Jesus Christ for all the opportunities I've been blessed with. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Kevin Mock, who will be judging the Wether Doe classes. Thank you.
There we go. Well, good afternoon and go Tigers. That was an awesome game last night and something that I got to enjoy with my family. And coming up here to evaluate the stock and work with the kids here at Denver has been something that I've been looking forward to since the summer. If this first set of doe kids is any way or idea of how the show's going to be today and tomorrow, it's going to be extremely competitive because I think we have three exceptional young females here to start this doe show this afternoon. The one I'm going to choose to lead off with is going to pattern what I'm going to probably do the rest of the afternoon today and then tomorrow. This one's good looking. She balances perfectly from the side, and she's athletic when we walk her around the ring. We're gonna make a few trips with these things as we evaluate them. Hind leg structure and the way their hip works and the way their shoulder and knee works is going to be really important to me. Past that, when you get into this one's rib, I think she's ideal. She's dimensional. She balances well. She opens up extremely wide there behind the backside of her shoulder and transitions into a big honest rib. She's the longest hip doe in the class as well, and I think one that wins this class fairly handily. Really, really fancy paint here comes second, and one that for me is a little compact, a little small in her kind. She's a little shorter sided, really attractive though, and one that looks expensive, and I can promise you there's nobody in this room that values that more than me. This one's got a really good neck, and she's got a really big back in her. She's a little shorter hip, and she wants to close up a little bit as she moves her hind leg and gets across the ring. But a really, really high quality doe, and the young lady's done an awesome job of getting her showed. Maybe the combination of the two that precede her comes here in third, and one that's not quite as well fit. She's not quite as fancy from a skin and hair coat, but meat and potatoes of this one's very good. She's sound and functional. She's got a big rib blade in her. She's not as good hipped as either of the does that lead the class off. She wants to taper there in her pin set, one that handles really big in her rack, really big there in her center rib, just not quite as elite as the two that precede her, but a really, really good doe. To be third in this class. We talked to these kids and a couple of them that aren't quite as powered up, aren't quite as wide, and one that's not quite as fancy. But commend these kids for doing a great job with their projects and coming to Denver.
Results of Class A. Lightweight Wether does 60 to 72 pounds. In sixth place, Rose Davies, Filler, Idaho. Fifth place, Joe Baldwin, Caldwell, Texas. Fourth place goes to Joshua Ryan, Loveland, Colorado. Third, Cody Borelli, Ritchie, Montana. Second place, Macy Roselle, Adams, Oregon. And first place goes to Caitlin Anderson, Alt, Colorado. Superior Farms American Lamb is delicious and easy to cook. Visit superiorfarms.com for great recipes and ask for American Lamb at your favorite restaurant. Watch renowned Andis livestock grooming educator Kirk Steerwald demonstrate cattle fitting in the Beef Palace auction arena. Kirk will explain the latest techniques to get award-winning results from your Andis tools. Check your schedule for dates and times.
Come on, baby. There we go. Competitive class here too, and I'm not sure it's as deep in quality as the first class, but I'm going to leave them how they stand. Start with the young lady on my right. One that I think commands the ring when she hits the ring, and if you know me very well, I'm a big picture guy and I'm a presence guy, and I like them to be commanding when they come in the ring. This one definitely does that. If you want to say that she's not quite big enough in her kind, I'm not going to argue with you there, but she's got such a big capacity and turned her forerib, transitions that into her center rib, uses her hind leg perfectly. She doesn't hit the surface quite as wide as a couple of them, but I think one that's appropriate there has a big whopping pin set in her, a huge arm, and transition to a real skinny neck, and that one's clubby and chubby, and I like that about her. Functional gets this one into 2, and she's not as fancy as the doe in 4, and we'll get to that one here in a second, but a doe that's really good when she's on the move. And if we're sorting weather does and weather dams, I think we've got enough muscle in the industry. And in my opinion, what we've got to work on is look and build and function and hind leg and the way all that hits together. And this one does it second best for me. She's not as fancy from a skin and hair standpoint. She may not be fit as well as the doe that's in first or the doe that's in fourth, but one that's got an awesome rib in her. She's really sound. She uses her hind leg right. And when you get your hands on this one, she opens up very, very well. Young man does a nice job of sorting that one. Same story here in third. One that's functional. She's practical. She's got a good rib. She's got good muscularity. She balances well. She's not as fancy as the does on either side of her, but one that I think's got a lot of good to her. And if you take this one home and breed her, she's going to make money. One that works with a lot of bucks. Uses her hind leg right. Has a big forearm and a stout skull, and like that about her. The problem child comes forward for me, and this one's one that she is tricked out. She's got some extras, but she's got the most holes of any of them in the class. Not only the top 4, she's a little roachy in her spine. When she moves around the ring, she wants to drop her pins the most of any of them in the class, and she's the one that gets a little more uncoordinated in the way she uses her rear leg. One that is got a big capacity, and she's got a big round forerib in her. Her shoulder lays in nice. When you handle her, she's more than enough muscle there. But if we could relax this one in her spine, pick her up in her pin set, and make her use her hind leg a little more appropriate, she could easily move up the class. Young lady does an awesome job of showing this one, and fit and skin and hair is great. We talked to these kids over here, and just not quite as fancy. Little hind leg issue on one of them, but the young ladies do a nice job, and if you would, thank them for their time.
Results of Class B lightweight weather does 73 to 75 pounds. In sixth place, Rosie Davis, Filler, Idaho. Fifth place goes to Tiffany Sunday, Asheville, Ohio. Fourth, Elena Santiago, Frederick, Oklahoma. Third place, Soren David Friend, Soren David Friend, Elizabeth, Colorado. Second place goes to Joshua Ryan, Loveland, Colorado. And the winner is Caitlin Bean, Newcastle, Oklahoma. In the ring is Class C, lightweight weather does 80 to 85 pounds.
challenging class here as we finish Division One with our third class, and these young people do an exceptional job, and they bring us three really high quality does. And when I get to sorting these, I don't think any of them are perfect, and they've all got some issues. And it goes back to what do I believe in as a livestock producer and somebody who does this for a living and has done it for 20 years as a big part of my family's life, and what's made ours successful and what works. And that's when we start with the paint doe. This one's the truest in her body cavity, and she's the biggest one in her upper hip and her pin set that we've touched today. She's really explosive in the top part of her skeleton. She's the right size, and she balances well, and from the side that she's really sound, and she holds everything together. I think she uses her spine when she moves around the ring better than the doe in second. If you want to say this one's rear foot and rear leg isn't quite as big, hey, I agree with you 100%. And if you want to say when you get right in behind her, she sets her back feet a little narrow, not her hock so much as her foot, I'd agree with you 100% right there as well. But when I add up the positives and the minuses in my mind and what makes what's important to me when I make decisions on breeding stock at home and showing them and for our clients to be successful, that one's got it for me in this particular class. Young lady does an outstanding job of showing her. The more tricked out one from the side comes second, and if you're one of those guys or gals that likes them, really sheepy, quote unquote, then you're going to be digging on this one because her lines are cool. She's really up fronted and she's really shallow. With that, she's the flattest right there in her plate and her forerib. She's the highest there in her scapula. She's too tight in her spine. She drops her pins, and when you get in behind her, she's the most base narrow all the way throughout. She's really cool in her chest floor, has a good neck, and handles like 9 million. I've just got to fix a few structural issues from that one's spine, the way she sets her hip to move her up in the class. But young lady, again, does a nice job. And the young man here comes with a really stout feature, really stout bone, rugged doe. In third, she's a little deeper bodied. She doesn't blend quite as well from the side, but he does an awesome job of showing this one as well. Give these kids all a round of applause.
Results of Class C, lightweight Wether does 80 to 85 pounds. In fifth place, Mason Rapp, Lakewood, Colorado. Fourth place, Leandra Melgoza, Lamar, Colorado. Third place goes to Zachary Weston, Lander, Wyoming. Second, Piper Liska, Yuma, Arizona, and the winner of Class C, Ellie Stevens, Eaton, Colorado. Next in is the champion drive. The Colorado Farm Show is proud to support the National Western Stock Show, and they invite you to attend the 56th Colorado Farm Show, January 28th, 29th, and 30th at Island Grove Regional Event Center in Greeley, Colorado. If you eat it, drink it, or wear it, agriculture produced it. Colorado Farm Show brochures are available ringside or at the announcer stand. Complete details are online at www.coloradofarmshow.com.
Well, I commend these 6 showmen and the other kids that showed in this division for bringing an outstanding set. And I'm super excited about the ones we've got here to represent our lightweight does. I'm also super excited about the program and the National Western, Aaron and Guy and their team setting up this show and offering this to the kids coming from the state of Texas. You know, we get to look over the border every direction at successful at successful show doe programs. And the guys that organize the show doe programs, the weather dam programs in our state are trying to still work the bugs out and decide which way they want to go and which direction they want to go. And I think if we'd look outside of our borders, we may grow the program even faster. And I commend the National Western for doing that. These girls on the front row, man, they bring 3 stingers, and these things are donor quality, in my opinion. They're exceptional prospects. As we move them around the ring, there's one of them that's better in her spine. She's better in the way she uses her lower joints. She's more dimensional in her body cavity. She balances perfectly and does a lot of things I think are important for one to be elite. So we'll put the mic down and go shake the hand of a champion, pull one up, and then get a reserve. Gets a little closer for these because I thought the one that won the division one did so very handily from the way her build and skeleton was made. And we set these out here on the front row, bring the young man's second place one up, and I think we've still got 3 extremely high quality ones. We've got 3 of them that have more than enough muscle, and they've got good body cavities, and they've got good rib in them. I don't think any of them is perfect, and to describe that in my mind, I can tell you that, in my opinion, the young lady's Class 1 doe is the best looking one from the side. She uses her hind leg very, very well. She's not quite as pried apart, but she's also not as fat as the one standing all around her, and one that looks extremely good from the side and opens up well when you touch her. The young man we talked that one in second place, went out of the second class there, is one that's very good built and very functional and very practical. He may not be quite in the same league as far as elite look and elite quality as the one standing on either side of him, but a very good doe. And then the one out of the third class is the biggest capacity and probably matches the champion in terms of body cavity and rib and the way she uses her spine when she moves. I just don't know that I can go home tonight and sleep with the way that one sets her rear foot in comparison to the one standing ahead of her. But a very, very good job, and the young lady does a nice job getting her shown. With that, I think the second best one is the young lady out of our first class in this division.
Results of the lightweight. Your reserve champion goes to Caitlin Anderson, Alt, Colorado. And your champion is Caitlin Bean from Newcastle, Oklahoma. Next in the ring is Class D, medium weight weather does, 85 to 89 pounds. John Deere is the official agricultural and turf equipment provider of the National Western Stock Show. Visit your local John Deere dealer for great deals now, and remember, nothing runs like a Deere. Saunders Construction was locally founded in 1972 and is now one of the largest and most stable construction companies in Colorado. Saunders offers well-paid positions with opportunities for career growth. Visit us at www.saunders.incorporated.com for information on career opportunities.
Well, Class 4 kind of sorts itself as you evaluate these things and move them around the ring, put your hands on them a little bit, and then look at them from the side profile. I think the doe that starts the class does so fairly handily. Her lines are perfect, and she balances perfect, and her feet and legs are close to perfect. And I'm not going to tell you that she's the heaviest structured one in the barn today, but she's one that utilizes her skeleton appropriately and ties a good neck into a big wide body cavity. You like a lot of things of what that doe stands for. The most muscular one here comes second, and she's again one that has a big rib in her. And she's sound when you move her around the ring. She wants to set down in her rear passion, wants to get a little more wobbly there in her rear hock, wants to be a little quicker and rounder about her hip. She's really big capacity when you get on top of her hip. She's got a big loin in her, wants to roach up and not tie quite as well there in her hip loin junction, but a big capacity muscular doe that I like a lot of things about. The challenge to me comes between 3 and 4, and what do you do here? The paint doe is one that finds her way in third because of her extras. She's up and she's cool looking and she's huge legged. She's just a little too flat for me. She's not as wide through her upper or center part of her hip. She's not as pulled apart there in her center part of her body. And one that when you put your hands on her, she's the rawest of the top 4 we've got here, but one that's stellar looking from the side and definitely has some value there. And then the young man in 4 here has one that is big capacity and more matches our first and second place does, but she's just too short coupled. She's a little shorter bodied, she's a little shorter hipped, and a little deeper sided in comparison, but one that's big capacity and has lots of muscle. Good job to these kids as well as the young lady here.
Results of Class D, medium weight Wether does, 85 to 89 pounds. In fifth place, Emma Gonzalez, Carpenter, Wyoming. Fourth place goes to Gavin Masters, Boulder, Wyoming. Third place, Macy Roselle, Adams, Oregon. Second place, Cody Borelli, Ritchie, Montana. And first place, Carly Wheeler, Paso Robles, California. In the ring is Class E. Class E medium weight Wether does, 90 to 95 pounds, entering the ring. Weaver Livestock is committed to helping you be the very best you can be. Stop by their trailer on the hill to check out their full line of show supplies backed by industry experts. Weaver is devoted to fueling your enthusiasm for showing livestock with educational clinics and innovative products at the National Western. Ready to try a delicious change? Serve your family American lamb from Superior Farms. There are so many ways to enjoy lamb with the easy recipes at superiorfarms.com.
Well, for sure, the most competitive top three that we've got to look at today, and these young ladies are to be commended not only for how they've shown these things today to us in the ring, but obviously how they prepared them, how they fed them, and how they tended to them at home. Please go ahead and give them a preliminary round of applause, and we'll talk to stock because they've done an awesome job here. The one that we choose to start with does it all for me. She's the biggest bodied one. If we get to handle a Wether tomorrow with a back as big as this one, I'll be impressed because this thing you could land a small plane on, and she does that with a smooth enough shoulder and a good neck, but her neck's still dimensional and like that about her, and she's got a big forearm. She uses her hind leg good enough, and she's really widespread through her hip and her pin set. Balance is good. She's the right size and what I deem moderate plus in her frame size, and still does that with a neat chest floor and a high set to her chest and neck there, and I like a lot of things about that one. The really cool looking one from the side comes in second. And when you measure all the stuff up that the one ahead of her has, she just doesn't have quite as much of it. She's a little flatter there, particularly at her last rib. She's a little narrower there at her last rib where you'd cut them if you were talking about true production animals and market animals. She's the narrowest right there. And she's not as quite as widespread through her center when we get her on the move. Really, really attractive when you set this one on the brace. And she's got a big forearm and huge legs, and the young lady does a nice job of getting her shown. And then the one that comes third is one that's perhaps the densest and heavy muscled and really good when she's on the drive. And she just seems to fall apart to me when she gets her on the move. She wants to tuck her tail head, and she wants to be a little more uncoordinated in the way she uses her rear leg. And then I wish she'd balance with a bigger foot and bigger bone in comparison to the amount of muscle and power and body that she's got up high. One that doesn't transition quite as well from her forerib to her last rib, and one that doesn't have quite as much true shape there across the plane of her stifle, but one that's extremely big back, and the young lady does an awesome job of getting her shown. Give all these kids a round of applause, and it's been an awesome doe show so far.
Results of Class E, medium weight Wether does 90 to 95 pounds. In 7th place, Cashlin Hawes, Carpenter, Wyoming. 6th place, Abigail Tingle, Shelbyville, Kentucky. In 5th place, Leandra Melgoza, Lamar, Colorado. 4th place goes to Rose Davies, Filler, Idaho. 3rd, Elena Santiago from Frederick, Oklahoma. 2nd place, Chancelyn Johnson, Potter Valley, California. And the winner of Class E, Haley Albrecht, Orville, California. Next in is Class F, medium weight Wether does 98 to 103 pounds.
Well, if these don't get you fired up about showing does, I don't know. Maybe you need to go next door and look at some limousine cattle or something, because I think we've got four extremely high quality ones in the ring here. The young lady starts the class and does so fairly handily. The people that know me best know that I like them when I like them, and I like this one when she hit the ring. She's the truest in her body cavity. She's the best in her lines. She's really smooth shouldered. She's acceptable in her bone work, really sound in her feet and legs, and good looking, and handles awesome. Got a flat hip, and it's hard to make these goats that are that level hip and still make them that long across the plane of their stifle and that big and wide spread in their pin set. And this one's pretty unique in the way she does that, and to still be able to handle her back leg accordingly. I think a very good one to start the class. Gets a little tougher here, 2, 3, and 4, because then you start to prioritize on what you want to do and how do you want to build your class around that champion. And the one that comes second, young lady, I'm going to be real honest with you. At this level, if that doe would have walked better out here, you'd push our class winner harder, because we are going to evaluate those things on the move, and we're going to try to evaluate how they use their lower skeleton. And I wish I could have got a better read on this one, because the size and the shape and the set to her forearm and knee and the way she uses her front foot and the way she transitions out of her blade into her rib is exceptional. She's really big bodied, and I like that about her. She's a little deeper maybe than the one that starts the class, but one that's just huge and broad across her back. And when she does decide to take a few steps and cooperate with the young lady, man, she uses her hock well, and she's really widespread there when she goes away from you. And that's what beats the 1 and 3. The doe in third is one that rivals our class winner and the previous class winner in terms of loin size and the way this one handles and just the genuineness and spread through her center cavity and her body cavity. She's a little shorter coupled and she's a little deeper. My biggest pick on this one is when you set them in motion, she wants to close at her hock more than the other ones do. She's not quite as authoritative in the way she drives off her hind leg, but one that's really muscular and really powerful. The doe that comes in 4 here is one she's awesome from the side profile. She paints a beautiful picture. When we start evaluating the genuineness of this one's pin set, how much real muscle does she have in her body cavity, and then how much bone work does she have, and that's where she runs out of gas on all places for me. She's awesome looking, and if you like them good looking, hey, this is your kind. She's extremely level hipped and good looking and good walking around the ring. She's got the least amount of spread in her stifle area and where she sets her hock when she moves around the ring. She's the least genuine there about her pin set and the natural muscularity that she's got. But a good looking doe to be 4 in a really tough class, man. You got against some horses, and thank you for bringing that good doe to the show. A couple of good ones over here, just not quite as fancy as what we had in this class. Give all these kids a hand because they brought a nice set to us.
Results of Class F, medium weight Wether does, 98 to 103 pounds. In 6th place, Parker Liska, Yuma, Arizona. 5th place, J.C. Meckelberg, Eckley, Colorado. 4th place goes to Carson Wheeler, Luther, Oklahoma. 3rd, Cody McComb, Pratt, Kansas. In 2nd place, Riley Anderson, Alt, Colorado. And 1st place goes to Elena Santiago, Frederick, Oklahoma. Next in is the champion medium weights. Champion medium weights, next in the ring.
Well, an extremely competitive middleweight drive that we've had here, and throughout the classes, those were very, very good, and the kids did an awesome job with them. And I ask that you give these kids and the ones that are back at their pins a round for their efforts, because they've done a very good job with this set, and this division has been extremely deep. And we've got three really good ones here on the front line, and if you study how I'm going to sort them today and tomorrow, and if you study how we show them and how we try to raise them, I think it's no guesswork there on what they have to look like from the side and what their body cavity has to be built like and what I want their feet and legs to look like. And I think the ones that are here on the front row do that exceptionally well. There's a pair of them that I think do it a little better than the other ones, and taking nothing away from the rest, but I think we've got a pair of really, really good ones out here in this division. I'm going to go shake the hands of those young ladies, give them all one more round, and we'll get a couple champions.
Champion goes to Elena Santiago, and your reserve champion is Haley Albrecht. Next in is class G, heavyweight Wether does, 104 to 109 pounds. If you're looking for the edge in the show ring, consider the all-new Blue Ribbon 2 blocking blade from Andis. Designed for competition, the Andis Blue Ribbon 2 blocking blade delivers a new level of performance with improved hair feed and clean show-stopping lines. Stop by your authorized Andis dealer and see it today. The Colorado Farm Show is proud to support the National Western Stock Show, and they invite you to attend the 56th Colorado Farm Show, January 28th, 29th, and 30th at Island Grove Regional Event Center in Greeley, Colorado. If you eat it, drink it, or wear it, agriculture produced it. Colorado Farm Show brochures are available ringside or at the announcer stand. Complete details are online at www.coloradofarmshow.com.
Good class here to start our heavyweights. I'm not going to tell you that there's a perfect one out here, but there is an easy class winner in my mind. That's the young man here directly in front of me, one that just paints a perfect picture from the side. She is blowed apart in her chest floor. She's really, really wide. I'm not sure I'd want one much wider than that, but she handles it nicely, and she's sound in her feet and legs. She's really dimensional and round there through her center body and has a big, robust last rib in her, and she's really big at her last rib. When you handle her doe that's exceptionally level-hipped and good-looking, you set her on the move. If you say you want to make her hind leg bigger and make it set wider as she travels, I'm not going to disagree with you there. But a doe that wins this class fairly handily looks exceptional on the drive and exceptional on the profile. Young man does an awesome job there. Grizzly Bear Stout one comes here in second, and this young man gets this thing hammered in the ground. She's got monster legs, and she's really big capacity, and she's really stout. Just not quite as fancy looking as the one that beats you. Not quite as firm and fresh air to her handle, and one that is powered up now. And she does have a great skeleton laid into her, and I appreciate a lot of things about that doe. Young man does an awesome job of showing for his first year, he said. And then the young lady here in third has one that's good patterned, nice from the side, wants to get a little more boomerang legged as she moves around the ring, wants to get a little more set to her hawk and turn her hawks in from what I desire. And then not quite as fresh over her top, but a nice doe to be third in a really tough class.
Results of Class G in fifth place, Taylor Singleton, Pueblo, Colorado. Fourth place, Abigail Tingle, Shelbyville, Kentucky. Third place goes to Briley Ashcraft, Guysville, Ohio. Second went to Dane Dunnan, Cody, Wyoming. And first place, Carson Wheeler, Luther, Oklahoma. Now entering the ring is Class H, heavyweight weather does 110 to 117 pounds. John Deere is the official agricultural and turf equipment provider of the National Western Stock Show. Visit your local John Deere dealer for great deals now, and remember, nothing runs like a Deere. Saunders Construction was locally founded in 1972 and is now one of the largest and most stable construction companies in Colorado. Saunders offers well-paid positions with opportunities for career growth. Visit us at www.saundersincorporated.com for information on career opportunities.
I think comfort, balance, and look from the side, and flex of spine and easiness of skeleton throughout kind of sorts this class for me. The young lady here in first has one that's big off the ground, and she's really dimensional. She, again, has a perfect rib cage laid into her. She uses her spine well. She flexes from her bottom joints up to her top joints. She's by far not the hairiest doe that we've seen today, and I'm sure the young lady would like her to have more everywhere so she could trick her out and fit her out a little more. But I think when you get right into what this one really is, she does a lot of things good. She's got a perfect skeleton and a big back and a good look to go along with it. The young lady here in second has one that's really good when she's drove up. When you set this one in motion, she's the straightest in her hock and she's the straightest in her shoulder. Wants to run downhill ever so slightly. She doesn't have the flashiest or fanciest hair coat, but one that has a nice center body. She's really level in her top line, and she uses her spine well. She's long and level in her rump, and she's big in her pin set. Does a lot of things good. I just wish when you set her in motion, she'd be a little taller fronted, a little freer off her back legs to compete against that class winner. Really good second place doe. And the one in third is here that's, again, good skeleton, good looking. She's a little taller fronted than our second place doe. Not quite as much spread and width throughout on this doe. Maybe not quite as fancy, maybe not quite as shallow there in her chest floor if you're into that, but one that's very good put together, good skeleton. I think she precedes the does over here in the way she balances and the way she blends and the way she uses her lower joints. Her ratio of bone work to mass up high, I think, is a little more appropriate than the does that stand here behind me. But a very good class. All these kids did a good job. I'd ask that you give them a round of applause.
Results of Class H in fifth place, Helena Fowler, Lewiston, Montana. Fourth place, Case, In fourth place, Case in Volson, Live Oak, California. Third place goes to Laramie Bruce, Caney, Kansas. Second, Briley Ashcraft, Guysville, Ohio. And first place, Caitlin Bean, Newcastle, Oklahoma. Now in the ring is Class I, heavyweight Wether does, 118 to 136 pounds. Weaver Livestock is committed to helping you be the very best you can be. Stop by the trailer on the hill to check out their full line of show supplies backed by industry experts. Weaver is devoted to fueling your enthusiasm for showing livestock with educational clinics and innovative products at the National Western. Superior Farms is committed to the care of the flock. Our employee owners believe good things come from putting the flock first. Get the story at superiorfarms.com. In the ring is Class I heavyweight weather does, 118 to 136 pounds.
Well, a really nice way to end our last class in our doe show, and I'm going to leave these just how they stand, starting with the young lady's red cape doe on my right. One that's just got an awesome body cavity, and she exemplifies the things that we've talked about all afternoon, and being three-dimensional in their rib, getting progressively wider. They've got good turn to their last rib. She uses her feet and legs appropriately. She's not overly heavy bone, but she's got more than enough, and she's not coarse in her joints, and she doesn't turn her feet sideways, and she's got a good neck and a big back laid in her, and she's really level hipped and long about the plane of her stifle, and a doe that does a lot of things very, very well, especially one to be this size and this mature, and she's not obese, and I like that about her as well. The young lady here in second has one that's really powered up and stout and big and robust through her body. She's a little deeper in her heart, a little deeper there in her forerib and chest. She's heavy, heavy bone. She's a little flatter there about her last rib, not quite as robust here in her pin set, not quite as much spread there from the center part of her leg when you get right in behind them. But one that's really, really good, not quite as fancy as the doe that starts the class, but an awesome powered up doe to be second. And then functional and look and build and skeletal design gets this young lady here in third, and one that's not quite as flashy, not quite as fancy, but one that has more than enough muscle, and she handles that with a really sound, really smooth, functional skeleton, gets around the ring good, uses her rear foot good, and I think one that does a lot of things good. Young lady's got a nice doe to be third in a really tough class.
Results of the heavyweight Wether does 118 to 136 pounds. In fifth place, Simon Raff, Nunn, Colorado. In fourth place, Abby Bianchi, Hollister, California. Third place, Chancelyn Johnson, Potter Valley, California. Second place, Reese Ingvelson, Live Oak, California. And in first place, Caitlin Anderson, Alt, Colorado. Next in is the champion drive of the heavyweights. Champion drive of heavyweights next in the ring. Ladies and gentlemen, we will take a 5-minute break after the conclusion of the champion heavyweight selection before we do the grand champion drive. We're going to take 5 minutes between champion heavyweight and the grand champion drive.
Well, I apologize for taking a little extra time in this division, but I think it is that close and it is that tough, and all 6 of these kids deserve an extra look and deserve the time that we put into them. You know, we started the day sorting these things on skeletal quality and feet and legs, and I'm not going to tell you that we'll be maybe quite as particular on that tomorrow. They're going to have to be sound and they're going to have to walk, and if your show weather doesn't walk, I'd encourage you to get some practice in between now and when Guy locks that door over there tonight, because they're going to have to move around the ring tomorrow. But these doe kids and these females, we think about setting these things back in production and what they're going to do for us when they get home and how that's going to work and how we're going to blend these things into a program. It's extremely important that their feet and legs be built right and that their upper skeleton work right and the way their shoulder lays into them and the way they use their spine helps their skeleton move around the ring. And I'm not anyone that's ever going to sort them to the middle. And if you know me, you know that. And that's something that I'll promise everybody in this barn, that we're never sorting towards the middle for the sake of just sheer soundness. But when they have enough extras and enough look and enough muscle and enough body, then we're going to go ahead and use the ones that are the soundest. I think we have a pair of them in here that are extremely close, and taking nothing away from the other one, but I think we have a pair of them that skeleton is very, very close, and they're very similar in their muscularity. They're very similar in their type and kind and build. One of them's a little more powered up. One of them's a little hairier, and one of them I think's a little sounder. And the doe I'm going to use to win this division is one that does so because she lays her shoulder blade in better, and she's more flexible in the way she uses her shoulder. She's more flexible in the way she uses her spine. She's longer hipped. She's truer in her pin set. And when you set these things in motion, every angle and every joint in her body is flawless. I'm not going to tell you that she's the hairiest one. I'm not going to tell you that she's the stoutest one. But I think she's got enough of everything in this particular division and does it with an impeccable skeleton, a perfect rib cage, a perfect back leg, and a really big pin set. Young lady out of the second class will be your champion. Third class will be your reserve. Good job.
Champion heavyweight goes to Caitlin Bean, Newcastle, Oklahoma, and your reserve champion is Caitlin Anderson, Alt, Colorado. It's 6:33 at 6:38. We will be walking in the ring with the grand champion drive. 6:38, we will be walking in the ring with the grand champion drive. Thank you. Grand Champion Drive is entering at this time. Your lightweight champion was Caitlin Bean from Newcastle, Oklahoma. Your reserve champion lightweight was Caitlin Anderson from Alt, Colorado. Champion middleweight, Elena Santiago from Frederick, Oklahoma. And your reserve champion medium weight, Haley Albrecht, Orville, California. Your champion heavyweight, Caitlin Bean from Newcastle, Oklahoma. And your reserve champion heavyweight, Caitlin Anderson from Alt, Colorado. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the Grand Champion Drive of the Wether class. Ladies and gentlemen, while we have a minute, if you would, please put your hands together one more time for Kevin Mock from Comfort, Texas, our judge for the day, and he's going to be our judge all day tomorrow. Thank you very much, Kevin. Appreciate the respect you showed our exhibitors and the lambs. Thank you.
what I'd first ask that you give these kids and their parents and ag teachers, project leaders, breeders, helpers, aunts, uncles, whoever, a big round of applause for the awesome set that they brought us today. I want to say thank you to Aaron, Guy, the whole National Western staff, the leadership within this organization for putting this event on and adding this opportunity to you kids from across the country to come exhibit your weather dams and show does. And that's a part of this industry that's rapidly growing in lots of states. It's ultra competitive. It's a lot of fun, and they're fun to watch, they're fun to evaluate, and they're fun to fit on and show and feed. And it's something that I'm awesome excited that's industry's growing that way, and that we have an outlet for the doe kids other than just selling them for somebody to breed them. We have an outlet for these youth and these kids to show them, so that's an awesome deal. Man, the opportunity to judge at Denver, and we get to talk again tomorrow during the Grand Drive speech, but this is something that I've been looking forward to for several months. And Denver's a magic place. It's awesome. When you fly in, you see the mountains, you get to stay. My kids and my wife and I, we drove up to Boulder today, drove up on the mountain and went to the peak. And, my kids were up there and, top of the world. It's awesome. And this state is magical. This show has a lot of history and a lot of tradition, and I would encourage you that while you're here, don't stay cooped up in this musty barn. Go out there in the yards and see the cattle, walk the yards, walk the catwalk, talk to those breeders. Man, this is the heart of production agriculture right here, and it's on display at this show, and I commend the National Western and the people that do that for doing it so appropriately. We've got some awesome stock in the ring, and the kids do a great job. And this is something that we've done our whole life is raise goats. And man, we started. I'm not very old, I don't think, but we still showed Spanish goats with horns when I started raising them, and I actually showed a few of those when I was in school. And to think how far the industry has progressed to get them to have this much quality and this much body and this much real muscle. We also raise show pigs, and man, these things are getting close in terms of density and look and elite quality. And so, the quality is just amazing. We've sorted these things today on feet and legs, on structure, on look and build and design. And I think the three that we've got out front here and the three that we've got in the back row all do that very, very well. These does, all three of them are round-bodied. They're three-dimensional. They're sound in their feet and legs. They've got all the extras, all the ESTs that you want. They look expensive, and once again, I love that. It's an industry that we're trying to raise elite livestock, and we're not trying to raise just run-of-the-mill goats, because you can go find those anywhere. And I think the three that we've got on our front line are very, very good. When you study these things walking across the ring, when you study them coming out that gate and making a wide circle, and you look at how they use their angles and they use their joints, and that's so important to me. Put your hands on them. These three are exceptional on the spread and the amount of turn they have to their upper rib. They use their shoulders well. There's one of them to me that has a little more elite quality, and there's one that has a little more commanding presence, and that's something that's hard to put in paper. And I'm a big picture kind of guy, and there's some of them that have it, and when they have it, they have it, and it's hard to explain. It's hard to put on paper, but when they have it, they have it. And there's one of those that does that for me to a different level than the other ones, and I think it's very, very close between a pair of them. And we'll go get you a champion. We'll bring that second place one up and see what the reserve is going to be. Well, that champion doe hit me awful hard when she walked in the ring. I told a couple of my buddies when I was going to come here back home that stayed and said, they said, "How you think you're going to do it?" And I said, "Man, knowing me, I'll know my champion when she walks in." And that one hit me very hard, just from the amount of mass and capacity she had. And she was so level hipped and still widespread there about her hip and her tail head. We bring this reserve middleweight doe in, and she's no slouch, man. This one is awesome to look at. She's got a cool color pattern. She's the right size and she's dimensional. She wants to roll her hip a little more, and the more she's out here and the more tired she gets, she's not quite as authoritative, and that's what beat her in the division. She's not quite as authoritative and not quite as level out of her hip. But man, you talk about one that's got an awesome body, and this thing has a huge back and a good neck. We study these things and we go back to the fundamentals of what we've built upon all day and what my values in livestock are and how I think those things need to be built. And there's one that does that second best for me, and it's a fairly large margin, to be honest with you. To me, when we talk about these things, and the doe that's going to be reserve grand to me is the most comfortable one we've seen all day. She's awesome in her body cavity. She's got an awesome hip. She's flawless the way she moves around the ring. Her spine lays in her perfectly, and this thing doesn't have a tight joint in her body, but she does all of that with as much muscle as any of them, and as much genuine spread at her last rib, and as much genuine rack, and as much genuine forerib. And she's not the fluffiest one. She's not the hairiest one. She's probably not the most fit on one, but I think she's the second best one. Young lady's heavyweight.
Your grand champion went to Elena Santiago, Frederick, Oklahoma, and your reserve champion, Caitlin Bean, Newcastle, Oklahoma.